Hey guys, welcome back to more AFK Arena. In today's video, we're here with our resident big brain Arty to give us some tips. So what we're looking at in today's video, and this is probably going to be a 2-video type little mini series that we'll do, is talking about Lucretia specifically, because the most common Lucretia team at the moment seems to be widely used is the Lucretia 5 pool. So what we want to do is break that apart, and today's video we're going to look at Lucretia and other teams, including things like invade and stuff like that. And then in the next video we'll look at the chicken 5 pool, but also non-Eron type chicken teams, and find other uses for that team to be able to like sort of split up your resources, because Lucretia is an incredibly powerful resource, but so is the chicken with the grouping of enemies. So we want to kind of cover everything and what you can do to split up those teams. So Arty, welcome mate, how you been?
Doing great. We're just living a good life, just playing a whole bunch of AFK.
AFK Arena, where you're stuck at home because, you know, the world's messed up. But that's neither here nor there. So big shout out to you for coming to me, like, because, you know, Artie just loves getting on the camera a little bit, but he comes to me with some really cool ideas. And this was a really good one that he came to me with about splitting up Lucretia and the 5 pool and doing a bit of a deep dive into that. So we'll get straight into it. What would be your first choice if we're not using the Lucretia 5 pool? What is your next best option that you would look at with Lucretia?
The next best option relies heavily on the artifact for Slayer heroes called Dual Divinity. I believe it's unlocked towards the end of chapter 35, and what it does is when your hero is on the enemy side of the battlefield, every time they hit someone, they're getting extra attack and taking less damage. I believe it's 50% of an attack rating boost and 50% reduced damage taken.
Yep.
On a hero like Lucretia, who already, her attack scale so ridiculously high, it's going to make her just melt through everyone. And you can, instead of like having to group everyone up, she'll actually have time to run to people because she's just not taking any damage between all the moves. So generally what I do is some kind of Lucretia invade. An invade in the past has been heavily pushed around Scrag, who I see you pulling up.
Yep.
This invade team specifically, you don't even have to use a lot of Scrag, just someone with barricade usually.
Yep. So
your
like
most popular option is.
You go.
Go ahead.
I was going to say like something like Brutus or anything sort of chunky that can just basically be a tank.
Yeah, Brutus is definitely a good option. One of the best options is Mishka, who came out pretty recently, and a lot of people should be looking towards, because she will naturally invade, as well as usually she'll get an ult off as long as her wolves die.
Yeah.
So it provides a lot of both a good debuff, because when she ults, she reduces protections by I think 30% or something ridiculous.
And for me, I just want to cut in there because I know you're similar to me, and you're a big Mishka fan as well. And she's one of those ones that where I feel like she'd be one that, yes, would work incredibly well, but also she could be a really nice pick in other teams as well. So if you can get away without her, then saving more resources for other teams is nice. But yeah, she's an absolute beast.
Absolutely.
Best character in the game. Hands down. No competition. Look at her. She got 2 wolves, man.
She has 2 wolves. She's a wilder. That's all I need.
Yeah, 100%. No, keep going. Sorry for the interrupt.
You're good. Another really good thing with her and sort of an invade set is Granite. Granite specifically is a hero who a lot of people, you don't need any furniture investment. You don't need to get him past Mythic. We obviously do because we like having fun, but you can stop him at Mythic plus 30, and when he dies, he's going to stun 2-3 people in front of him.
Yeah.
That's usually enough time to just have Lucretia come kill them all. It's just fantastic.
Yeah, that's always been my. Is that your general opinion on him? We're getting sidetracked here, but Granite, like, is that your general opinion on him? Just naked Granite, die quick and get that effect? Because at the level of 30 signature item, that's when he gets when he applies the debuff on enemies at the start, and then he dies, and then applies it again and turns him to stone. Is that like your main use for him? Do you find him useful, fully geared, or do you find not much other use for him?
You can do him fully geared specifically if you want to change some of his timings, like if you want him to die a little bit later or if you want him to die really early.
Yeah.
He's not bad as like a tank in Mauler Tower and in some other situations, but he doesn't have a whole lot outside of just his ult stuns. I have seen some cases where if you have him live, he'll actually manage to survive and get off multiple ults, so there is sometimes a scenario there, but that's way more rare than just letting him die and not forcing that extra investment.
Yeah, 100%. Moving on, next one.
A couple other really good characters, both Zolrath and Leica, both manipulating when enemies start or just increasing your start. They're both fantastic. A
Yep.
lot of the time, you're going to want to put these characters in other teams, though, because sometimes it'll be too much here. But they
Yep.
are always worth keeping your eyes on, especially just like an elite Luke or an elite Leica to just like die right away and get the haste buff off.
Yep. 100%. And that's
Two
where
other
it sort of
buffers.
gets to in this like later game sort of stage is like it's just managing resources. You've got like, your list of like really strong heroes, and each team you go into, you want to win using the least amount of them so that you have more available for the next battle. Is the gist of management at this stage. Is that how you view it?
Oh, absolutely. There's a lot of stuff like you'll see a lot of like later Thorin cheeses. They're using 2 or 3 heroes to make the. You aren't putting in the extra unnecessary stuff. You just put in like a Kelthur and a Lurson and a Thorin, and you call it good.
Yeah.
2 other options specifically for Lucretia that I think are actually pretty underused, although some a bit more than others. The 2 that I were looking at, Rain specifically, is really nice with Lucretia, because assuming she's going to take your barricade, Rain is going to be buffing Lucretia this entire time. Buff her attack, going to buff her energy, let her ult faster, make her do more damage if you have 3 furniture on her.
Yep. Definitely.
Another buffer who's very nice is going to be Halus. A lot of people may not have him built, but if you put Lucretia on the back line and Halus with his furniture will immediately buff her, she's going to be getting, I believe it's 15 or 30% lifesteal the whole time, and an attack rating boost if she's on backline.
Yeah, super
both
handy.
Both of those are really nice. Halus himself is probably a little bit more niche just because most players won't have him built.
Yeah,
but
he's not
it's still
top
a nice option
priority.
to keep your eyes on.
Yeah. So what would be like your go-to formation for the Lucretia invade?
Probably an easy go-to is you put in like Brutus, like frontline. Mishka you would probably do if you can. So we can start with like Mishka, and then you do like Rain. And then let's say, for example, you do a good easy option a lot of the time just for a bit of early CC is like an elite Zafrael. Like even just 1 copy of Zaf is enough to just to get off an early stun.
Yeah, just to stun.
Because his only purpose is to stun, and then he should die right away.
Yeah.
That's usually how it should end up going. And then your 5th spot, you can be flexible with it. You can basically put in whatever you feel is needed. Sometimes you might not even think, or you just need someone to tank like a single hit.
Something like that. Let's just have a play with this sort of thing. So, let's have a look at this enemy team. This might be a bit iffy. We probably want to put that there so you can avoid that. We don't really want to swap the Lucretia. Let's just see how this sort of thing goes. And then with this sort of thing, especially when you're using Mishka, it's like it's RNG on whether the wolves die or not. And obviously in this team, like it probably would have been more advantageous for the Lucretia if we did have that elite copy of Zafrael, because he would have actually died quicker and let us ramp up more. I don't think because the thing about Zafrael too is that his cloud continues on the field to stun even after the fact. However, with a fully upgraded one, you do get the extra stun from it. But that is the basic play on that one. So let's drop. I just want to try something just for the demonstration's sake. So if we go back in with that exact same team, but then we drop that Mishka out, who's one that we're more keen on holding onto, and we put in something like the Brutus. And I want to try and avoid the Zafrael because I know a lot of people might not have him. What would be another sort of tech option that people like might be using more often? Even though we did say an elite Zafrael, it's hard to say elite and then use a fully ascended one.
Yeah, you could definitely toss in like just like an easy Athalia in case. In this case, ours is a bit too much ascended, but an elite Athalia can do the same thing. Lorson isn't a bad option just to link damage to 2 annoying targets. Like you could do like the Thorin and the Warwick, or the Isolde and the Kelthur here, and you'd have a really nice Lorson link.
Yep, and for you, like even with something like this, would you say that even if we just did something like this, we should be pretty fine with Lucretia? Now, obviously, deficits is going to change things, but you still have this effect of a Brutus that's going to survive a little bit, provide that barricade, we'll get the buffs, we have the artifact, then those 2 fall off, and we should probably get something done.
It'll probably work.
Let's have a look.
The Zaf won't
he won't do anything.
Level 1, but it should be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, Lucretia with her furniture going off the entire time because of her buff, even when she's being CC'd by the work, is still triggering her artifact.
Yeah, which is just a crazy sort of implementation. Because what's it? Like, let's jump out here because we are on the final stage of chapter 42, And what was our deficit? Let's just jump back in.
I think it was like 150-ish, but I think our King's Tower is about 200, 210.
Yeah, so we might bounce into King's Tower and have a bit of a look. Is there any other sort of niche options that you would have for King's Tower? The Lucretia invade, or just these general Lucretia teams?
Yeah, there's a couple other kind of niche ones. Citrana is pretty nice if there's a very annoying healer kind of right at the start, because what you can do is you can just put her front line, have her put her anti-heal fire seeds on, and then just immediately explode.
Yep.
Otherwise, Odin, just basically good everywhere in the case of letting or repositioning enemies. That way Lucretia can dive them. It'd be like a 5-pull without 5-pulling them, because you can just Odin portal them.
Yep. Yeah, Odin's just OP everywhere, though.
Yeah. Hodgkin is a really nice option if you can get his flag down, because when he casts his flag, I believe it's like a 30% damage increase to anyone who's near it.
Yeah.
If you can get his flag down with Lucretia around him, she's gonna have a huge damage amp.
Because I love your insights, what's your general view on Hodgkin? To me, I feel like I really like him. It's just I feel like he really struggles to be a front row tank. He just feels like he has that starting like period where he just gets insta killed, and that's his big issue.
I think with Hodgkin, with the more I've played around with him, you don't use him as a tank, you use him as a support and a buffer, and you just have to try and get him behind tanks who won't die immediately, that way he can have time to cast his flag.
Yeah.
If he can ever get his ult off, it's ridiculous to see.
Yeah.
The issue is he usually doesn't get it, but sometimes the flag is all you really need.
He feels like,
for like a Grez team.
Yeah, he feels like one of the slowest ramp up and like slowest energy gainers in the game. I don't know why. He just feels like when I have him on the team, he's just so slow at generating energy. But yeah, I really do. I really do like it. Like you said, with that buff, then if he does get an ult off, it's just like completely GG. I did have some fun playing around with like ideas of like him with Isolde and Astar, because I just like Astar's, instant mitigation, 60% at the start, stuff like that. But we are getting sidetracked. Who else are we looking at?
A couple other more expensive options. Frampton, he's kind of like a budget chicken option, because you can put chicken elsewhere and then use Frampton to group some people up.
Yep, you do need his engraving for that.
30, I think. Yeah,
30
it's pretty
60.
Expensive, but if you're on, it's 30, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty expensive, but it's but it's an option if you have a bigger budget.
Yeah.
Mortis, he's actually become a more recent priority for stargazing, so a lot of people have Mortis plus Mythic plus 20.
Yeah.
So if you can use Mortis to then buff your team in general, a Mortis will probably get an ult off before most of the rest of your team's gonna die. So you're gonna have a really nice buff on Lucretia.
Yeah.
A couple other options. Scrag, which we kind of with invade. Scrag's a barricade holder, just always good.
Yeah.
Good character as long as he can live long enough for Luke to buff. And then Aster, actually, if people have her built, an immediate 40 to 60% damage mitigation is no joke for Lucretia, who's going to be running at the end.
Yeah, I feel like they designed Astar pretty well in that, like, as soon as she's on the battlefield, she's dancing and putting that mitigation up. If it was a bit slower to activate, I feel like she'd be a lot worse, but the way it's, like, instant as soon as, like, before any engagement happens, she's already started it. I just think she was an amazing hero to get implemented. She just seems crazy. But let's jump in here. Let's jump in at this deficit and have a bit of a play around with what we were before and slowly scale up the team until we can get to that point of getting those victories. So let's start. So this has a chicken, but it's got no furniture, so we're not in any threat of any of that sort of stuff. So let's go in with that Brutus.
Let's start like Brutus, Rain, and then
fodder. Yeah. So we'll start with this type of. I kind of want to put Rain behind, put her there. Let's just do 2 Celestials, because why not? And let's have a look. And then we'll slowly scale it up until we can get to that point. But I feel like this is like the main goal. So there we go. We lost Lucretia there. Let's try again. I don't know. Is she getting rocketed by the, what's his face in this one?
It looked like it was a Thali fireball.
There we go. We're in the middle here. We should be a bit better here. And there you go. Like that's not bad at that sort of a deficit. Because what was our deficit? Almost 200 levels, wasn't it?
It was about 200, yeah.
Yeah.
So obviously it's not ridiculous, but that's still pretty good. I think a lot of your top pushers without super heavy engravings are doing about 250, 260 right now. So it's not that far off of them.
Yeah, but for the average player who doesn't like push the absolute limits, like this is like a good little way to.
Yeah, this is about their deficit.
Pretty much the key points there are like rain not 100% needed, but the rain buff is definitely handy. But then you've got Brutus with the barricade. I mean, you could probably even argue for the point if we did this. Not guaranteeing anything.
You're stepping into dangerous territory.
Let's see if we can do it without the buff.
Oh, yep.
So yeah,
like artifact for you.
It's a combination of having that artifact and also, well, the barricade wasn't even really necessary in that one. I don't believe we actually would have even taken use of it with Lucretia, but or did we? I don't think she got
elites. Try again.
All right, let's go back. Okay, so so taking a look at things, guys. Screw everything. Just run Lucretia with fodder is the name of the game. I don't think we're going to do it in this one. I think we do need that little bit extra. Yeah, we need the Brutus.
Yeah.
Lucretia Brutus OP. That's all you need. Besides that, it's nothing. But like, it's a perfect example of the way to sort of like work on the Lucretia team, especially when you get into these multi-battle stages and you're not Chiasma and you don't have every character in the game maxed. Because obviously your resources are much more finite on heroes that you have, and the more heroes you can save for the next battle. For instance, this one, saving 3 useful heroes is much better than, you know, wasting everything on a Lucretia who's straight OP anyway. But yeah, like I just think that's a really good like point of note, is that like Lucretia, like, because everything normally when you see Lucretia, it's in 5-pool these days. Is the main thing I'm seeing as like the OP Lucretia comp, but being able to put her in with other things, I just think is incredibly valuable. Okay, we lost the Screeg too early. Brutus OP is the name of the game. Anything else you want to talk about with the Lucretia in like the non-5-pool teams?
I don't think so. Basically, all of your use of her is going to be inside this kind of invade-esque set. Because usually if you're below having dual divinity, you're probably going to have 5-pool built up, or you're going to be able to do some kind of budget version with like longbow or just like eye on Lucretia, depending on how far up you are.
Yep.
And when you're at that point, probably focus similar heroes like your Rain, your Brutus, but you just won't have the artifacts to make it work as well.
Yep. But, and obviously something like the Rain, like, I mean, Rain's not bad in the bosses anyway. So, you know, it's a hero that used to be a meme, but I actually really like Rain. Even, like you said, for some of these campaign uses, like I like testing her on Chiasma just because she has got that niche buff usage that people often forget about. And I'm really keen when we get this update, which is what, like not even 12 hours away, like a few hours away at the time of recording this.
5 hours.
To test her with, what's the new chick's name? I'm horrible with names right
Scarlet.
now. Scarlet. I'm really keen to test like actual Lightbearer teams with Scarlet to see if it's like a viable thing. But I feel like, you know, you've got all those buffers for Scarlet in the Lightbearers, and they've just been hanging out. Like since Belinda fell off, they haven't had like a good big nuker. You know, common heroes just don't cut it these days. So it's cool to see getting another one in. What's your, while I've got you, because we'll upload this video probably like right as the update happens. What's your feel on Scarlet so far?
From what I've seen, she's going to absolutely destroy Risen Sora. There is no debate there. This character looks like she's going to be like how Saurus originally was, or how Belinda is currently. She's probably going to take over those 2 spots for bossing.
Yep.
From what I've seen, she's going to be really good in Cursed Realm, Twisted Realm, that kind of area. I think she'll be at least decent for. I don't know if she's going to be your top 5 carries, but I think she's going to be kind of up there with like Damon once you get in the really late game, or like they're going to be like an alternate carry.
Yep.
I'm not convinced she's going to be very good in PvE, given she looks like she needs ramp up time, just like some of these other carries like Damon does. But I'm not going to put it against her because she has a lot going for her.
So bossing main use, PvE possible, PvP probably
potential.
Not.
Yep, that'd be about how I'd look at it.
Yeah, sick. I'm definitely keen to get her on Chiasma, and then we can start testing. But I think that's where we'll end this one, and you know we'll record this next video straight after. But for you guys, it will be in tomorrow's video. But once again, Arty, always handy having you on. Thanks very much. Any last words?
Don't take this invade as an end-all be-all. Some stages you're going to need 5-pull. Don't think that you can just completely scrap it. Do them both. Build both sides. Use them as needed. Hope you guys have good times pushing campaign, and have a good day.
Start small, get big. That's the way it goes. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you have an awesome day. We'll look forward to seeing the next one. Cheers.